talking about the third decade of Agile. And it's not that actually things shift in decades, but when a decade comes and goes, it's worth reflecting. And I like to say I've been around a long time. That doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm smarter. It does mean I've seen a lot of things. And you know that old phrase: the more things change, the more they stay the same. I've definitely seen that in the Agile space and actually every space kind of I'm working in. So I'm going to put my prognosticator hat on here. And in essence, what I'm going to talk about today is how we're shifting to business agility. This is not new, actually, but it's been mostly taking place in the last couple of years. I'm going to present, it's not a new value realization artifact. In other words, an artifact that's focused on business agility, how to create value for customers through the lens of the business, in a sense. It's not new in that I've been using it, my company at Net Objectives have been using it for now about 15 years. But it's new in the fact that very few people tend to use it. It's actually one of the most important concepts I've seen in Agile in 20 years. So I'll present that. I do believe it's going to get presented more. They're going to talk about team structures, or you're on it about products and services. This is there's getting to be a strong consensus on this. I will point you to other people in this presentation that you can learn more about, but Steve Denning in Age of Agile, John Cotter actually now in Accelerate, and Mick Kirsten in Project to Products as an example. I'm going to show you a different way, not a different way, but maybe how enterprises can be organized, a different way to think about getting there at scale than what we're currently doing. And new ways of collaborating across methods. And by that I mean I think there needs to be greater collaboration between the different certifying bodies. And it's actually one of the exciting things for me about being at the PMI. I've been at Net Objectives for 20 years and had built a huge amount of intellectual property. And I'm not going to have this talk be a promotion of PMI or Disciplined Agile, which is basically our Agile approach now. And maybe it's not surprising. I should say maybe it's more amazing how consistent Disciplined Agile, which was also acquired by PMI last year just before they acquired Net Objectives intellectual property. It's really remarkable how closely aligned what this talk is about and what the Disciplined Agile and we're going and Net Objectives, well now PMI is going. I think it's not because we have the right answer. I think it's a question of what are you looking at and making decisions, and we'll see that very much a scientific approach. Anyway, let's go through the first generation. So in my mind, the first generation actually started before the Agile Manifesto, which came out in 2001. I personally got into Agile in '99 with Martin Fowler talking about extreme programming at a conference in Munich that I was at. And there was a real kind of hubbub about it. Everybody was excited. So XP and Scrum were the two main drivers from at least '99 to the late 2000s. 2000, first decade, 2008, 2009, when Kanban came on the scene. Kanban was not that present in the first generation, so to speak, the first decade. Few principles were known. In other words, we knew what worked. We didn't know why it worked in a lot of ways. I remember a lot of different conversations that took place. It was also designed around products being built by team. People tend to forget this a lot. Scrum was designed for product development, and it was used primarily in IT organizations. And that's one of the reasons there were a lot of challenges at times with people adopting it. There were a variety of other challenges. There was really insufficient knowledge to tailor to what was needed. Kind of really why Scrum came out with its immutable roles, events, artifacts, and rules. Is we know what worked. If we did it, we weren't really sure exactly why it worked, in the sense that the science of, say, lean and the science of flow wasn't known at this time. Management was not included. It's interesting to read the Agile Manifesto and notice how many times a customer is mentioned, a few times. How many times the business is mentioned, 2, 3 times as well. How many times the team is mentioned, like 19 times. And how many times management is mentioned, not at all. Kind of a missing piece, I would say. They're very important. Now, I don't mean management as command and control, but the idea of management playing some sort of role, and I will talk about that today. Okay. There was a lot of dogma. Some of this was just this lack of underlying principles. Some of it was just because passionate people were involved, and there's always unintentional dogma. And I hate to say it, but there are huge business opportunities that led to it a lot as well. Anyway, the second decade. So now from 2010 on till just about now, Kanban started becoming more on the scene. Lean definitely came into play. I should also say flow, which they're related. They're not the same. There's a reason Don Reinertson's book talks about principles of product development flow, second generation lean software development. There's a reason flow is in the main title and lean is in the subtitle. And I'm not going to talk too much about flow or lean, but they're definitely in here. Anyway, Reinertson is considered somewhat the expert, I at least do, in this whole area of how to look at process and management of things. Now, it's also gone to scale, obviously. Around 2012, you had SAFe come on board. You had Scrum and Scrums before that. And there are a variety of methods, Scrum at scale, SAFe, less disciplined, Agile. And up until recently, they weren't part of the PMI. Okay, I'll just be clear, now they are. And mostly frameworks had a bottom-up and a combining teams approach. And I'm mentioning, I say most, not disciplined Agile. Now, I'm not trying to promote DA here, but I will say that when I heard PMI had acquired them and then they acquired me, I was like, oh, this is good, because this is a group that has been working in a holistic way. And it turns out that they're not a framework, actually. I noticed they mostly frameworks with the bottom up. Discipline Agile is a toolkit. It's different. We'll see some of this as well. There's also an over-focus on complexity. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I'm not saying that complexity is not an important thing, but actually taking complexity head on, I do not believe is the correct approach. Now, this runs in counter to many other thought leaders, I'll say, and a common approach. The thing is, things are complex. You end up, there's a lesson there. The fact that it's complex, and I'll talk about this a little later, means you're not going to get prediction abilities. It's not mechanistic. Things are going to happen. You don't predict. But the question is, how do you deal with complexity? And if you focus on it, it's not always really the best way to go. And I'll show some of this as we get in. Okay. So the first 2 decades have had huge success. I mean, it's had huge impact. And maybe I should be saying that. I don't have a slide on it. But we've changed completely how we do things. But there are challenges still. One size doesn't fit all. Meaning you can't take predetermined, predefined approaches and expect to get success. And yet we see this. Scrum has its cross-functional teams, iterations, specified roles. Not that this doesn't work a lot of the times, but it actually is not always the right way to go. And sometimes changing roles upsets people as well. SAFe pretty much starts at the team level, at the program level, called it Essential SAFe. Anyway, most places have a set way of doing things. And a bottom-up doesn't always work. I shouldn't say it doesn't work. It's not going to solve a lot of the main problems.
Hi there. Hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Malutis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year. But if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.